Clearly, Africa is being named here. With them, all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Torgama and of the north quarters, and all these bands, and many people with you, many people, many nations with you. You've amassed an international army. Now, what should stand out to you is Cush, particularly Cush. That if there is a prophetic call of God on Africa, in this particular region, the land of Ham, to usher the nations to Zion, if God prophesied through David that the princes shall come out of Cush, the gift shall be brought out of Ham, why in the world do we have this situation where Cush is in league with Israel's enemies? The answer to this question, ladies and gentlemen, is that here is the spiritual warfare, the battle. God's prophetic call on Cush, on Ham, is to usher the nations to Zion, symbolized by the Queen of Sheba, coming to visit Solomon, Jesus himself referencing that visit and pointing to himself as the king who reigns in Jerusalem and saying, if Africa knew what to do, then you should as well. But now we fast forward and we look at the end and we see that Cush is named among Israel's enemies to destroy Israel, Gog and Magog and the rest. This is because the battle will have some go one way and some another. When we resume in episode 26 next week, December the 15th, we will go back to these texts and I will unpack a little bit more for you. And we'll talk about, among other things, the prophetic message that was in the raid on Entebbe, July 1976, when Israel had to rescue its hostages from Uganda that were taken by both Arab and German terrorists. Africa was nowhere involved until Idi Amin of Uganda gave them a place to keep the hostages there at the Entebbe airport in Uganda. So we're going to talk about that because we're going to talk about the three nations that were involved: Israel, Uganda, and Kenya. What role did Kenya play in helping Israel rescue its hostages? And in that, we're going to see the warfare, in that here you have the region that was called to make a highway to Zion, just like the Queen of Sheba coming from this region, but the region gets divided at this point with Idi Amin over Uganda and Jomo Kenyatta over Kenya, and them standing on opposite sides of God's promise and prophetic call on Africa to usher the nations to Zion. It is a foreshadowing of where we're headed. It's also one of the things that is the rage in the warfare when it comes to Black Americans and Africa, where Israel is concerned. We will pick up from there on next week.
Truth to Power Live with Jimmy Study Washington.